Hey everyone, here we have the Dell Inspiron 16. This is a little bit bittersweet. This is the final generation Inspiron you will ever have. Dell announced at CES 2025 that they are no longer going to be naming their computers Inspiron, Latitude, XPS. No, instead they're going to be naming them Dell, Dell Pro, and Dell Pro Max. Where have I heard that before? Anyway, ripping off naming conventions aside, and by the way, Dell's executives came on stage and said that Apple doesn't own the moniker. To be fair, they are kind of right. They're just words. Anyway, ripping off naming conventions aside, the Dell Inspiron has always been one of my favorite laptops in recent years. Basically, you just have a very well-built, very serviceable, very fast, very feature-rich, great computer, especially if you only need to use these computers for things like productivity work, office tasks, email, internet, etc. and so forth. They're not gaming machines, although you could probably do some Minecraft and some light level stuff on there. But the point is that these things are supposed to be like business, college student masterpieces. And they excel in that very well. Anyway, as a final send off to the Dell Inspiron 16 and a little homage, we're gonna go over some of the specs on this one, figure out if it's any good, and find out if you should buy one yourself. Just to get this out of the way really quick, every product we review on this channel we buy ourselves. That gives you an unsponsored, unbiased, no BS review. So if you find this video helpful, please hit the like button, please subscribe to our channel as we release content weekly. Let's go ahead and get input and output out of the way here really quick. On this side, you've got Kensington lock because everybody uses Kensington lock. Got a USB Type A super speed port, TRRRS jack, and a full-size SD card reader. That is awesome and generous, I might add. On this side, you've got USB Type C display port. You've got another USB Type A super speed port, full-size HDMI, and then where you plug it in, because it doesn't run on solar energy. Maybe they'll make the next one run on solar energy. Although I doubt it. I/O on this thing is pretty much fantastic. I would go so far as to say that it's like a 4 out of 5, if not a 5 on the 5. The only thing really it's missing is Thunderbolt, but again, for the price, stop complaining. This particular one has Wi-Fi 6 in it, as well as Bluetooth. It doesn't come with Wi-Fi 7, but again, people, this isn't the XPS series or the new Pro Max. This is just sort of like your... Dude, most people don't need Wi-Fi 7, okay? I've had a lot of people talking about if they want Wi-Fi 7 on a laptop, but the fact is that if you don't need to use it for like gaming or something like that and it needs low latency, then you really don't need Wi-Fi 7 and you're gonna be just fine with Wi-Fi 6. Anyway, Wi-Fi 6, and it's good. Camera at the top with a little privacy shutter in case you want to dance around naked and not have an OnlyFans page. This is the quality you can expect out of the Dell Inspiron 16 webcam. As you can see, it's pretty sharp and clear and should do a good job with productivity tasks. And all this to say, the camera quality on it is decent. Not the best in class, but it's certainly not too bad. We'll get the office tasks done and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't have any Windows Hello compatibility on the camera, but it does have a Windows Hello compatible fingerprint reader near the keyboard. And speaking of the keyboard, the Inspiron 16 comes with a full-size keyboard with a numpad on the right side, unlike the Inspiron 16 Plus. The keys are clickety-clackety. They feel very tactile, mechanical, responsive to the touch, and it's all in a very logical and easy to tap place. I really like the keyboards on here. Absolutely a 5 out of 5. Backlit as well. It does come with a touchpad, which is a fair size, not the biggest in class, but it's a good size. I mean, it's, about the size of like, my hand sans fingers. And doesn't go too bad. It does still use Dell's old, like, kind of harder to press click mechanism on there. I'm hoping that in the new series machines, they'll sort of lighten up the pressure sensitivity on the, or the necessity for higher pressure on the trackpads. Otherwise, the trackpad is like decent. Not great, but decent. I'm gonna go ahead and award it. Maybe like a 3 out of 5, because it's better than average. The biggest Achilles heel of this laptop is its battery life. Dell advertises that it gets somewhere between 8 to 12 hours, which by the way is an enormous range. But that said, if you're doing like a lot of high-end video and powerful tasks, you can probably only get somewhere between like 4 to 5 hours. It's a little scant. With that said, that's not necessarily a problem isolated to the Dell Inspiron 16. In general, a lot of manufacturers tend to exaggerate the battery capabilities of these machines, and then in general, when these things run at like a lot of, when you're running, for example, like a YouTube video at 4K in the background, they tend to waste the battery away pretty well. With that said, in our practical use tests, we were able to get more or less all day worth of battery life in the office. So in other words, we came in, we unplugged it, we did all of our productivity tasks, and at the end of the day, we still had something like between 10 to 20% of battery life left. So that's basically a full 8-hour workday. I think that's pretty decent. Display on it, 16 inches, full high definition, FHD plus, and it is a touch screen. This one is glossy, which might get in the way if you're sitting underneath a window or like in direct sunlight. However, this display is quite bright, clocking in somewhere in like the 400-ish nit brightness with our tests. And ultimately, I don't think you're gonna have too many issues if you're like using this thing in a cafe or something like that. But the display on it is super, super crisp, beautiful to use. It is 60 hertz, it's not 120, but it's got deep blacks, it's got true whites. It's just overall a fantastic panel. Great, great color accuracy as well. I really, really love the display on here. Hinges on it are fantastic too. You got metal on metal, so you don't have to worry about it splitting from the plastic. I really, really love that. And then in terms of flexibility of the monitor, you know, it's adequate. It's like more than a MacBook, not as much as like a Yoga, but it's good. And before I forget, speaker quality on it, not as good as they are on a MacBook Pro, but the speakers ultimately don't distort, they get loud, they produce good sound across the band. They're just a smidge tinny. So this would be really, really good for listening to a podcast, vocals, even playing a light game. But I probably wouldn't jam out to like the Trans-Siberian Orchestra on it. It's just, let's see here. Who's this computer for? I would say that anybody who is in need of something that you can kind of beat up, throw in a backpack, have a great computing experience, travelers, journalists who don't want to touch on or who don't want to type on a 14-inch computer. Like in other words, if you need that extra screen real estate. This is for accountants because it has the full numpad on there. It's not for gamers. It is for people that want to do like maybe an on-the-go studio, podcasting, this kind of thing. You can plug a switch up into the USB-C port and knock out any of your audio needs. It has the power to edit big audio files and things like that too. So if you're really needing to use that Intel Core 7 processor, which I'll get into more in a moment here, if you need to use that Intel Core 7 processor to do things like massive effects, big long audio files, you can. You can certainly do some compressed 4K editing on here. This does use Intel graphics, but again, these aren't the Intel graphics from, you know, a decade ago. Intel's graphics are pretty solid these days. This one does come with the Core 7 processor, which I'll show a benchmark and some B-roll of what that can achieve. DDR5, serviceable. NVMe drive, also serviceable.
And by the way, little life pro tip, you can probably find these computers for like $600 off of Dell's website and even cheaper off of eBay. If you want to find like an open box or a used one, they're going for as little as $400 to $500. I mean, you just can't beat that.
Excellent bang for your buck. Metal chassis, it's like pretty lightweight, love the form factor. It just feels good in the hands. It's soft, it's smooth. It is laptop perfection. We've had a lot of good reliability with these things. We have people asking us about things like fan noise and overheating. We actually have yet to really encounter a whole lot of that with Dell products. Some of them, okay? But the Inspiron 16 has just been an overall reliable machine. So long as you update the BIOS, pretty much once you get this thing out of the box, that will adjust things like the fan curves and heat thermal curves and all that other stuff necessary to keep this thing running cool without blasting the fan. This thing is silent, okay? The fan is not moving right now. It is just purely silent. Dell's customer service is also some of the best we've ever encountered. Just dealing with them tends to be fairly easy. I like this machine. Just go ahead and get it. If you're a photographer using this thing for Photoshop, if you want to use this thing for CAD work, we do have people that use this thing for CAD design. Maybe about the only people I suggest wouldn't get this are maybe like heavy duty gamers wanting to play like RDR2 on high settings. Other than that, this is just your everyday man and woman's laptop. So that's the Dell Inspiron 16, everybody. Last one we'll probably ever get to review. End of an era. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Please tell your friends about this channel, and we'll be back with another video really soon.